It's time to change. If you like country, we play it. If you like pop, we play it. If you like Latin music, we play it. If you like rock and roll, we play it. Because no one does fusion music like we do. 91.1 FM, The Boss.
Programs presented are submitted by members of our community and are a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of KNLY 91.1 FM, The Boss, and affiliates.
Good afternoon. It is 12 o'clock. We are here in the Woodlands. Yes, we are. Today with Cachet. We've got Kayleen here with me, my co-host. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm doing the hair thing as usual. But most importantly, I just want to take a moment, or should we talk about what happened today?
Okay. Yes, 100%.
You know, they always say, the show must go on.
It must.
The show must go on. And I can literally tell you, we weren't sure if it was going to go on today.
No.
You want to tell them what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Kaylee. Tell them. Tell the world.
I'm on my way. And Cachet calls, and she's like, hey, we have no
I changed my mind.
lights at the studio. So we were like, oh my gosh, what do we do?
But you're only like 10 minutes.
I'm only 10 minutes, really. And then so I was like, oh my gosh, so do we need to do it at the store? Well, we could. And then we were like, yeah, let's do it at the store. Because you're like,
Thank you. Right. She were trying to help. She said, well, we can do it at Cupcakes and Bubbles.
Right. And then, and so I was like, yeah, regroup, let's replay it. And then Carla's like, no, we have to broadcast this show through the station no matter where you go.
But we also have to include what happened. I got to include these lovely ladies. We've got the amazing Robin here, and Tammy. Welcome, ladies. I took y'all guys on the whirlwind as well. Y'all want to chime in on what happened?
She picked us up on the side of the street.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay. I know the power was out here in the Woodlands.
Yes.
Like all the way from Market Street, all the way to Hughes Landing, because you went and checked it out.
We had lights. We
first originally said let's go to Market Street, and then Tammy said there's no power at Market Street, and I said let's go to Hughes Landing. Well, there's no power at Hughes Landing, so then we're like, Tammy's like, now I'm at the mall. So I've literally driven almost all over the Woodlands trying to get here, and ultimately I was getting ready to go, why don't we just plan it another day? And Cash calls and says, hey, we've got power, come on.
10 minutes out.
Yeah.
That's what we talk about, the show. But we do have a bottle of champagne.
Yeah,
that's good.
And kind of talk a little bit about how we all connected. And I'll turn it over to whoever wants to go first.
Go ahead. Okay. I'm Robin Starcher. I've lived in the Woodlands almost 10 years. But I actually was working for George Mitchell back in the early 80s when he was developing.
Okay.
I worked for a smaller known company that built some the Grogan's Mill apartments, the older ones. So I actually have seen over the last
It grow
40 years how much it's grown. But I kind of I grew up I raised my kids in Spring, and I just really loved the Woodlands because it's beautiful. It's very much a family-oriented community. We've got lakes. Everything is just it's a highly desirable place. Great schools, highly desirable place to raise kids and also retire. I'm recently retired from almost 28 years in the energy space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hats off to you. We're going to be doing a lot of toast today. We got a lot of toast going on this month.
Yeah.
And by the way, the show may go past 1 o'clock. Just be prepared, everyone. Okay, go ahead.
So one of the things that I think is important to me is that I am a patriot. I have traveled all over the world, and one of the things that I have seen is the devastation that things like socialism and communism have impacted, how they've impacted the citizens, and it's devastating. So one of the things that's truly important to me, most especially during election year, is that the voters educate themselves, not just picking a president that they like or don't like, but that they actually educate themselves on the policies that are being presented to the American people. We've got the Constitution. There's 27 amendments to the Constitution, but the first 10 are really critical for every person in the United States to know about, learn about. Most especially the 10th. The 10th Amendment is what provides for the powers that limit the government, the federal government. So this, the 10th Amendment basically says, the president has, the federal government has limited powers, and those powers are those that are not specifically designated to the president are turned over to the states and its people. And that's why we have governors, mayors, and county judges. So it's really critical for me to try to educate the voter on these types of topics.
Sure.
We've got a lot of headlines right now, and people are reading headlines. There's a lot of, riots, both peaceful and violent, and it's really critical to me to be a part of a movement that says, be an educated voter, register to vote, but be an educated voter so that you pick the right candidate, not based on, whether or not he's cute or whether or not it's a woman or a man.
Well, it's a serious, like you said, you're talking about, and I love what you're saying. I mean, here we are, you said it best, we cannot afford to not have some order. We cannot afford to not have law. We cannot afford to not have things that are give us a quality of life.
Yes.
And I don't care how you spin it or how you twist it. We all want that. And that is so important.
Yeah.
And what do you think?
Absolutely. One of the things that has really affected me, or that I've come to this big realization this year, is how important our local government is.
Absolutely.
Sure.
With COVID and everything that has transpired. And so there's so many people that they're like, well, I only vote for the president. And then there's also times where you go in and you go, I have no idea who this person is. I shouldn't vote at all. And so I've come to realize the impact of local government for sure, and how important that is. This morning I was listening to some AM radio, but they were talking about school board elections.
Okay.
And the difference of what this person wants compared to what this person wants. Y'all, I'll have to be honest. I don't know if I've ever looked at the school board elections and the people that make those decisions in Austin for the state of Texas.
Sure.
It's quite frightening. And that really hit me today as well.
So Tammy, tell everyone out there a little bit about you and your background and how you're integrated in.
I have no background.
You have no background?
And
I think I'm going to go to my computer and see if I can find a background.
No background in politics, but I'll tell you. So I am. I would like to. Let me first say who I am. My name is Tammy Lee.
Okay.
And I am the mother of 3 children.
Okay.
I have 2 boys, 29 and 25. I just became a grandmother.
Congratulations.
Okay. In March, or in February, actually, during all this COVID stuff. So I've seen him once. But, and then went through a terrible divorce years ago.
Okay.
And we were living in Kingwood area.
Okay.
And found the love of my life.
Okay.
Married him. We've been married for 13 years.
Congrats.
And God blessed us with a little girl. So 29, 25, and 10
Yay.
is what we have. But whenever I met my husband, who, if you ever get to meet him, he really is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And when we were just dating, one morning I was putting my makeup on and I had the TV on, and I won't say what I was watching, but it was a local news station. And he goes, "What are you watching?" And I was like, "Well, it's yada yada." And he's like, "Why?" "Well, because I'm putting my makeup on and drinking my coffee. That's why." And he was like, you realize you're not getting any information out of this." So I say all this because I believe I was your average Joe voter 15 years ago.
Okay.
I had children. I was a single mom. I needed to pay my bills. I went to work. I flew my rear home as fast as I could because I had one kid on a soccer field and another kid on a baseball field, and I needed to be here and I needed to be there. Oh, we're going to vote for president? Okay, I'll go do that. But did I know what I was voting for, policies and whatnot? Absolutely not. Wow. Yeah. I had parents that were one
party,
and
the other party.
I'm the other party.
Sure.
I couldn't tell you to this day how I ended up being on this side of the party when I had parents that were on the other side. But I'll say this, and thankful to my husband, it was because my husband that helped open my eyes just a little bit that I learned to do my own research and that I didn't rely, and of course we didn't have social media, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have all this mess coming to us 24/7 nonstop. I had to go do some of my own research, and so I formed my own ideas,
Which is so important.
and
Yes.
that's
Which is
what
so
I
important.
want people
Yeah.
to be able to do is stop relying on someone else's information.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is anybody can twist it to make it sound one way or the other.
Sure.
Yeah.
So go get your own information.
Yeah, I think you touched on a really important topic because a couple of weeks ago I was watching CNN, then I flipped to Fox, and then I go online and I'm looking for different positions,
Yeah.
different viewpoints, and realistically, and it's unfortunately, there is no real journalism left because the internet has been taken over by social media and instant access to information. And I think a lot of what we lean on for our information is exaggerated, or it's leaning heavily to the left or heavily to the right. And that's why I think it's important that the voters do educate themselves. Most people nowadays are following hashtag trends, most especially the young people, the young voter. And I think it's critical that the young voters, but all voters, educate themselves on the potential president-elect policies, what he or she intends to do for the American people, and decide, look at both sides, and decide, does this align with what I want, not only for myself, but for my country?
There you go.
Because I'm not always going to be the 21-year-old voter, the 18-year-old voter. At some point in my life, I'm going to be the 30-year-old voter, the 35-year-old voter, the 40-year-old voter, and I'm going to have children that I'm going to shape their lives in the future by my vote.
I love that. What I'm hearing is exactly what you're saying is what she was saying in a combination. Don't be the voter out there who just shows up and doesn't know what you're voting for or does it by emotions.
Yes.
And thinks, well, I'm doing this today. What do I really care?
Yeah.
All of that is building you up for a future. And you have to project that. You can't just show up.
Absolutely.
You got to know what you're showing up for.
Yes.
And not what someone's told you, but what do you really believe in?
Yes.
Look at a policy and read it. Wouldn't you? I mean, what are your thoughts, Kaylee, real quick on
No,
this?
I mean, absolutely. And I think that's super important because, there are so many different views and policies that are kind of just kind of buried into each of, maybe either the president-elects or governors or whatnot.
Yes.
And, they'll highlight what you want to hear,
Yes.
but not really know what's behind the scenes.
Exactly. There's a lot of noise.
There's a lot of noise
There's
out
a
there.
lot of noise, and I think what's really sad to me, I'm almost 60 years old, and I became a registered voter when I turned 18, and I have voted in every single election. I also vote in my local elections, the townships, stuff like that, because I think it's important. My voice is my vote.
Yeah.
We can all we've seen the arguments on social media, on Facebook. Friends are unfriending each other over their differences in political opinions, and that to me is really sad.
It's really sad.
Because politics shouldn't interfere with your personal relationship with someone. That's something that should be meaningful to you, and we can agree to disagree respectfully. But I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing is, the media is putting out a lot of falsehoods to fit a certain agenda.
Right.
And
We can't get caught up in that. You
you
got to be able to
yes.
separate because this
Yes.
is real.
Yes,
This is our future.
it is real.
And what I love so much is that this has kind of created an organic grassroots group that we've kind of committed here that we can talk a little bit more after commercial to the big event that we've got coming
Yes.
up here on Sunday. So let's take a quick commercial and we'll be right back.
Absolutely.
Are you ready to vote for the first time? If you're a U.S. citizen, meet your state's requirements, and will be 18 by Election Day, you can vote. But first, you need to register before your state's deadline. Check with your local election office. You can register there, or you may be able to register online at the Department of Motor Vehicles or using the National Mail Voter Registration Form. Your election office may send you a voter registration card listing your polling place. On Election Day, that's where you'll go. When you get there, you may need to show an ID to vote. Then, fill out your ballot. If you don't know how, ask a poll worker. If you know you won't be able to get there on Election Day, you may qualify to vote by mail. Remember, voting rules are different in every state. Learn more about voting at usa.gov/voting.
It started as a dream. When I was a little kid, I always wanted to have my own restaurant. And it was a dream that finally we had the opportunity to build it here in the Woodlands. And I'm so happy with it.
It's a really authentic Italian food. I try to maintain the most original possible. It's very important. Every day I make my fresh pasta.
Chi mangia bene, mangia italiano. Please come and visit us.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Bruce Tuff of the Tuff Law Firm. We are located in the greater Woodlands area. If you need any smart, tough lawyers, call us 281-681-0808. We do personal injury, real estate, construction law, business law, probate, all the legal services you may need. We have over 100 years of experience in our office. Call the Tuff Smart Lawyers, 281-681-0808, Tuff Law Firm.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Welcome back to Today with Cash Show. Ladies, we have so many things we're toasting today. First, that we made it here and the show's working.
Yes.
Electricity.
Can we start with that one?
That we're here today.
And then that we've all come together.
Yes.
And the beauty, one of the things that's so amazing about our community.
Yes.
Speaking of why it's important, because of how we can all communicate and people can connect and get together and make change. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what it's all about? I mean, we've got this event coming up, Sunday, November 3rd. And
That is not correct.
I mean, Sunday. This Sunday.
September the 20th.
Thank you.
Yes.
Both
Yes.
is November 3rd.
Yes.
Thank you. We have this event coming up.
Posted that thing.
You go ahead. Tell everybody. What do we have?
It's on. It's going to be
That's
Sunday.
No. That's
We haven't even had a sip yet.
We want you to show up both times, September 20th and November 3rd. We want you to show up.
Yes.
The great thing about our event on September 20th, other than the fact that all of us ladies are putting it together, there's going to be some free barbecue. And you heard that right, free barbecue while it lasts. But if you are not registered to vote, or maybe you don't even know for sure if you are registered to vote, you can register to vote that day. Now, a lot of you don't know or may not know, I didn't even know, the last day to register to be able to vote in this year's election is October the 5th. Now, if you've tried to get down to the DPS, you know what a nightmare that is, especially with COVID. I've had some conversations with them because I've got a child that's registered in one place that he's trying, but now lives in the area trying to get registered. So I found out something super important that we're going to have at our event that I didn't know why it was so important, and that's called a VDR.
Say that again. VDR.
V is in victory. VDR. A VDR is a volunteer deputy registrar. So that person has been deputized by the state of Texas to be able to register you to vote. So they will make sure when you're there that you filled out your paperwork correctly.
Yay.
They also file it correctly. So there's the gentleman that I spoke to, his name is John, that will be one of the registrars there, told me you don't know how many times people have filled out the information, turned it in, mailed it in, wherever they sent it, and then got to where they were supposed to vote, and they said, we're sorry, ABC was not filled out correctly. You can't vote.
Right.
Wow.
So We have people there that are going to be able to put that check mark and file it correctly so that your vote will count.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And so, Robert, tell everyone out there why did you say yes to being a part of this? Why, and a little bit more about the event as well.
First of all, I became involved simply because Tammy is a dear friend of mine, and she mentioned it to me, and she said, would you be interested in getting involved? And I was like, absolutely. Why? Because I love my country. I absolutely love my country. I love my community. I think I've always been a mentor in my profession. I always mentored young traders, young schedulers, other young paralegals and stuff. So I always have I've been in the ministry, so I've taken on a leadership roles that didn't pay me great, but I do it because I'm passionate about my country. And the more I travel around the world and the more I see, the devastation in other countries that don't offer the freedom and the opportunities that the United States of America offers.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I think that is one thing that I love. I did mean to interrupt. But I'm old too, and I have all these children, and so the brain, you lose that thought. But that's one thing that I love about Robin, that she has a perspective that a lot of us don't, because she's been able to travel the country. And of course, there's thousands and upon thousands of people that travel the country, and they see what other countries look like. Yeah. I have not had that luxury. And I'm scared to fly anyways, but that's a whole nother story. But for her to be able to say, for anyone to complain about America, regardless of who our president is, she's able to say, you don't know.
You don't know. You don't know, because I have been to the Middle East, and I have had women in the Middle East who I befriended, and because I was curious. I was like, in the United States, I do have, Muslim friends, Middle Eastern friends, but I've never really talked to, someone that I didn't know and asked questions. And so I met a group of young people. I think they were in their late 20s, early 30s, a few years back when I was in Dubai, actually, which is very westernized and very beautiful, and the people are very, very warm. But I asked these young girls after a couple of days, seeing the different, some women were in full blackout burqas and some were in Western clothes, but, had their half face covered. And, so I started speaking to them. I'm like, can you tell me what exactly, how y'all, I don't know enough, really. Like, so, how do you, what makes some women, dress in all black outfits. And so, these women and young men were so eager to talk to me and share their reasons, their love of their religion, their love of their country, but also their dislike of their country and some of the oppressions that they might have felt. And one of the things that has always struck me when I travel to a different country is, you're so lucky to be an American. I wish our country was more like America. You're so lucky. You have so many freedoms. And that's one thing that has really struck me. Now, notwithstanding the fact that America does have its own problems. Sure. We've got poverty. We've got, single mothers that are struggling to make ends meet. Mental health issues. We've got a lot of issues that our own country has to deal with. But at the end of the day, in the United States, we are guaranteed, under our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, so many freedoms that other countries just don't have. And when you're in a socialistic situation, a country, or a communistic country, you don't have a right. You don't have a voice. You are oppressed, and you will more than likely be living in poverty. And those are the things depending on where you're absolutely, depending on where you're at, and your financial and social status.
Sure. My neighbor across the street was born and raised in Venezuela, and they're here working. I mean, they're American citizens, but since Venezuela has gone so far down over the last few years, she's unable to go home which her mother is still there. She's unable to go home because she knows they're not going to let her back out.
Yeah.
And see, that gives me chills. I just can't even imagine. I can't even imagine being in that situation.
I mean, and it's great points we're bringing up. I mean, think about the people out there right now who are torn between, do I vote this way? Do I vote that way? And, we've got this event on Sunday
the 20th.
From 11 to 5.
At the Glades.
At Glade Cultural Center. And we'll have all the information up there. So we encourage everyone to come out. That's the question I want to pose to you two ladies, is we've got people that are either afraid to come out. We've got people that are confused. We've got people that are just seeing so much go on, and they're not sure if what they're voting for is leaning one direction. What would you say to people out there that can give them a sense of why they should come out, why they should register, and what we can do if we come together for a common good to make a difference, but why they have to come out, why they have to do it, and to help them along with their confusions on that.
The first thing I'd say is, come out absolutely if you aren't registered to vote, or if you don't know if you're registered to vote, and we'll get that taken care for you, because it is important. Like I said, there's a lot of noise. You can make a lot of noise on social media. You can argue with your family members or your friends. But at the end of the day, your voice is your vote.
Right.
That is what matters, and that is what makes changes, not only in local government, but federal government.
Sure.
Is a vote, and every vote counts.
And at the event, we're going to have, correct me if I'm wrong, different things that are going to kind of talk through talk to everyone a little bit about the setup of the event.
We have some really smart ladies.
Yes, they do.
That is probably working on it right now, and that's why I'm here and not there, because they're way smarter. But
we get to be the champagne girls.
Right. They're putting together some real information, some black and white facts, not this is how I feel or this is what I wish, but some black and white facts of this is what is.
Yeah.
Now, do you like what is, or do you not like what is?
Yeah.
That's going to be your choice.
Yeah.
But it's going to be right in front of you. One of my favorite things on TV is whenever a reporter will go out and they'll find people wandering around and they'll say, ABC politician says this, and this is their policy. Do you like it? I love it. I love it. Did you know it is ABC politician? Oh, no, I don't like him.
Right.
But she loved his policy.
Right.
Or her policy or whatever. So it's one of those things where you're going to be able to see the information, whether you like this person or you like that person. Look at the information.
Yeah.
It's not about a personality. It's about results.
Right.
Yeah.
Are these the results you want? Or are these the results you want?
Well, because you bring out a great point. And Kayleen, chime in any leadership role or in any role that someone has, you may not like everything about an individual, right?
Sure.
Okay, I mean, let's be real. Do we like everything about somebody? But at the end of the day, you have to look at the policies. You have to look at the direction. You have to look at what matters to you, your future, your family. I mean, come on, people,
well,
right?
And it's not just what's happening today in our world, in our country, that affects us. It's what's happening in other countries around the world that will affect us.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Whether or not it's taxes or jobs or whatnot. It is kind of, or even, with peace,
Yes.
it happens to be, just something that we need to think about and something that could happen in the future. What happens if COVID makes another round, but it's worse? And what if it's already worse in other countries? Where do we go from there? What about those countries that may or may not be able to sustain because they have no hospitals, they have no, they have nothing to, help them stop this from happening, right? So it's more about what, and obviously we help other countries all the time, right?
Well, I guess what I'm hearing you say is the strength of America is very important, and making sure that we stay solid.
Sure,
we cannot
absolutely.
have disorder running around in our country and expect, how can you help others if you are not strong enough to help
Well,
yourself.
if it happens in the
Yeah.
Middle East
Yeah.
or in other countries where we get our resources from or whatnot, then what happens to those resources? What happens to us? In our
And we're already seeing that actually.
Yes.
We're already seeing that
Correct.
because production has gone down.
Yeah.
Because transportation has gone down. So and it's kind of a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know. But I think what's really important about this event is not just registering people, but giving them a black and white, a little short. It's a really simple method of giving them short, quick facts.
Fact check.
Because we do get caught up in the noise, and we don't know. Look, if you turn your channel and you flip it from one station to the next, one news station to the next, you're going to get conflicting information.
Yes.
So I think, what was important for me was to, shut out the noise, provide facts, and let the people, benign facts, hey, these are benign. It's not, we're going to tell you, policies, we're going to tell you, facts, so that you can make an educated decision and vote. And I think it's really imperative that we recognize that COVID will impact voters, particularly those that are vulnerable, the elderly or people with underlying health conditions. And all of the voting places have made have made that the voting polls safe places to come and vote.
Right.
So we want to get that out as well. Sure. But it is important to vote, but to have an educated vote.
I've always said, if you didn't, you can't complain later if you didn't vote, right?
Yes. Yes,
there's always the people that are like,
they're the first ones,
I
right?
can't believe.
Yeah.
Well, did you vote? I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, that's why you need to.
Well,
one thing. Oh, I'm sorry. One thing I was thinking about when we were talking about getting information is we will have some people that can translate. So if you, if your English is not, if you don't
First
speak
language,
English or not your first language, we have some translators that will be able to help you out.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if the material will also be printed in Spanish. That I'm not sure. Kesha, you may know that.
I think some of it will be.
Okay.
But I don't know which part. But again, there will be people there to kind of help translate, to kind of help out in that regard.
Yeah, and we'll have question
Sure.
stations set up that are specific topics.
Yes.
And they will be run by people that can answer your questions. Different topics, not just which president should I vote for or what about. But I really think that it's important to vote because that is your strongest voice, and because we're not getting a whole lot of facts in journalism has kind of fallen by the wayside because it's far leaning left or far leaning right. And I really think it's important that if you're a voter, that you vote not just for yourself and look at the facts, but vote keeping in mind that you're voting to build up your country, not tear it down. We live in the greatest country in the entire world. We enjoy freedoms that we take for granted every day. Every day. The freedom to even have an argument on social media. That's a freedom that some countries just don't allow their citizens.
And you bring out a great point. I think a lot of it is because we have so much freedom and we have so much privileges, people forget.
Yeah.
People have lost sight, in my opinion. I say
Absolutely.
this every time. They have lost sight. They are so busy complaining because so much has been given. And I think people are taking that for granted and have taken our country for granted.
Yes.
Spoiled. And don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
I like to be spoiled.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Cache wants to be spoiled. All of us love to be spoiled. Don't take
I
her.
enjoy my toilet paper.
But you're right. And back to the travel. Okay, so if everybody who's complaining that they don't like America and they don't like what's going on, we said, okay, get on this plane. Everybody, line up. Let's fly you to one of those amazing places in another country somewhere where there's not as many privileges. I wonder if people then could wake up and realize. I mean, let's talk about that from your. These people came to you and said, "You are so fortunate."
Yeah.
And I think what has happened is people live here and they get this, they get that, and then it's like, I don't care about this anymore. I don't.
Well, I don't.
I mean-
you know, we do take so much for granted because we do live in the United States and we do have these freedoms that are guaranteed to us by the Constitution. So it's not something that we consciously think about.
Yep.
You know, we wake up, we go about our day. But when you travel, and like I said, I've traveled all over the world, so I have, you know, when people find out that, it's kind of interesting, it's a little twofold here. When people find out that I'm American, and a lot of times they'll typically people will say, where are you from? Because they know you're a visitor. Where are you from? And I say, America. Oh, America's great. America's great. I wish I could be there. I wish I was an American. And I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. But then they say, well, you know, where do you live? And I'm like, Texas. And it's a whole
different conversation. Oh, that's another country, right?
Yes. I will tell you that
Yeah.
most people in other countries, other parts of the world, think that Texas is just like cowboys and
Yes.
Indians,
Yeah.
and they love Texans.
Yeah.
But more importantly is that I have traveled the world, and when I have gone to certain places, I've really I've been heartbroken. And what it's done is not only brought out the empath in me and wanted to help these people, but it's also made me take a step back and go, wow, I take so much for granted. You know, I have so many opportunities. I've climbed the corporate ladder, you know, and I have.
As a woman.
As I was going to say.
Okay,
and I-
another toast.
Yes,
Ding!
yes. You
Okay.
know, I have struggled.
Yeah.
You know, being a woman, in when I started in the energy space, there were very few women in positions of power, and now, you know, 25 years later, you know, 30 years later, we're seeing women that are not only CEOs, CFOs, COOs, but women that are starting Fortune 500
Yes.
companies. So
Still hard though.
it is hard. There still are a lot of obstacles, but you know, it's not a gender or race issue a lot of times, because we do have opportunities, and there are a lot of obstacles that we all have to overcome, and that we all have to fight for, and therein lies why it's so important to vote.
Right.
You know, so that we can continue to be a free country and offer opportunities to all of us.
Yes.
I've heard over the years other countries, people say, if America goes down, we all go down. And so it's a lot, other countries rely on us a lot, even when they don't really realize they are. And so I feel like that we are very much that shining light for other people of hope.
Yeah.
Yes, no, I would agree. And I think what's happened is as you said, we live in a country where we tend to forget. And what we don't probably realize is if we don't continue to fight for what we have, we could be those other countries.
Absolutely.
And I think people don't see that.
Yeah.
They, you know, it's kind of like, you know how you get away with something? Yeah, I'm going to eat a little bit more chocolate today. I'm going to eat a little bit more chocolate. I can get away with a few more days, and before long it's caught up with you, right?
Yes.
And before, oh, well, these jeans don't fit the same, because you just want to ignore it, and you don't think it's going to happen, but it will creep up. And before long, what you're seeing in one city or one, state can be everywhere. And
Yes.
then what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Then, the big question I have is, what will people say if they were wrong in how they thought? You can't afford to be wrong. You can't afford to be wrong in this case.
Right.
It is so important to know, and it's so important to drive your direction. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to be controversial by any stretch.
Well, don't.
But I will tell you.
Don't be, Tammy.
Cash Ray's like going, oh my God, what's she going to say?
Tammy.
When you're talking about, just because we're
Sure.
here in the Woodlands,
Okay.
it is a nice, quiet community of families and whatnot. It would, and you look at other cities and you go on the TV and you think it's never going to happen here. right? So one of my favorite, it's not my favorite story because that makes me feel terrible, is whenever you were in another state and was robbed and police not showing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I have I'm not going to lie, I have a huge fear of the current push.
There's nothing wrong with you saying that. Yeah, of course.
The current push against our first
Our Bill of Rights.
well,
Yeah.
I'm trying to,
Yeah, so that's that. You know, what's important to me as an American citizen is that, you know, we talk about taking so much for granted, our freedoms, the opportunity, freedom of speech, you know, freedom for women to vote. People come from all over the world to America because they don't have what America offers in their country. And it is important to vote so that we maintain a limited government.
yes.
When our forefathers drafted the Constitution, okay, they really didn't think about, you know, it was all about government and what we're going to impose on our people. But then delegates got together and said, you know, we don't want the government to get blown out of proportion. So that's where we started coming up with the 27 amendments, okay? And of those 27 amendments, which are all critically important because they have changed our freedoms and our opportunities for, you know, the freeing slaves, allowing women to vote. There's so many things that are critically important that have changed the dynamics of what we have in the United States. But the Bill of Rights is the first 10. And I think it's important, myself as a patriot, to help people understand what those rights are in a short, simple way. Sometimes you can read them and you're like, what the heck does that mean? And yes, they've been debated. They've been debated for centuries. But at the end of it, you know, the realistic thing is that when you become an educated voter,
So important.
you know and you understand that, hey, it's not about voting for my, you know, who my best friend's voting for, or, you know, what I'm
How I was raised as a kid or whatever.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to be honest here. I have voted straight party tickets and I have voted swing. And most of the time I do a swing vote because I actually do look at my candidates. And it's so easy to do because it's public information. Okay? So I think it's really important that every voter, every person that's, you know, of age to vote, come out, register to vote. We'll check to see if you are or you aren't. And if you aren't, we'll register you. If you aren't registered, then you're going to be registered when you come out and have barbecue with us.
That's right. And this is Sunday. This Sunday coming up, 11 to 5, free. Just show up. There'll be parking.
Unless you want to pay me. Then
That's true. No, I would agree. I would
prefer
agree.
you, John.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that. We will not say no to your money. We will take donations. We've been working hard for you. No, but
Mama needs some new shoes like these down here.
oh, what?
that y'all
Get
cannot
these. Oh,
see.
yeah. Can you?
my God.
Can you pull these up on a break? Wait, no. Yeah, pull if you don't mind. I mean, I don't know if you can put your leg up, but yeah, we got to see that.
Get this
Look at those. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
That's all. That's a show in itself right there.
And let me just touch on this. In some countries, that wouldn't be allowed.
You wouldn't be allowed to put your feet up.
In some countries,
They would
you
say-
wouldn't be allowed in the front seat. I've had that happen to me
Right.
before.
Or they wouldn't let me talk up here. Shame on them.
And I had a friend once. We were driving from Oman to Dubai, and my friend was driving. And actually, we got detained. That's a whole other story, by the way, too.
Yeah,
I got
wow.
detained with guys with machine guns for about 2 hours, and they took my passport from me. And I thought I was
Where was this story? We gotta go past 1 o'clock. We gotta hear this story. After the commercial, we're going to hear more of that.
Yes. But yeah, no, and he, you know, my friend was like, hey, so if I accidentally took a wrong turn that way, just so you know, because you're in the front seat, they would kill me and chop your head off. And I'm like, don't go that way. Please don't go that way. Yeah, so he just,
He didn't take the wrong turn.
Yeah.
No, thank God.
But back to your
So,
point,
yeah.
I mean, we laugh at this, but it wouldn't
It's
be
not-
funny
no.
if we don't vote right and it
if
happens
he
here.
had not lived there for so long,
Yeah,
he might
yeah.
not have known. And what if that was an actual mistake?
Yeah.
I have a friend that just moved back home
Yeah.
from a third world country that they were there working for Exxon. And her stories that she told me, she wasn't allowed to drive.
Yeah.
They had a driver because he was military
Sure.
and shot people.
Your shoes are cute too.
Thank you.
Okay, keep going. I just looked down. Keep going.
me too.
Okay, wait a minute.
And,
Okay,
and,
go ahead.
and she said that literally she would almost have to walk to the store, be dropped off at the store to try and find groceries. And there was never anything fresh. There was never fresh green vegetables.
No.
So
All
when she
these
would
things
come
we
back
take for
home,
granted.
she's like, Whole Foods, where's Whole Foods? Where's
That's
Whole
it.
Foods, right? She has 2 small children, and one was just starting to toddle around. There was no outside. There's no playgrounds. And so I was just like, you're more of a woman than I am, because I think I would have said, babe, I love you. Send money, because of everything that they went through. Just the small amount of stories that she had, crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it just really is. I think even if you are registered to vote, come out. It's a community event.
There you go.
Maybe you have some questions. Maybe you want to hear what we have to say. We're just going to try to shut out the noise that is being, shoved on us by the media, because the media is, they're stretching the truth.
Well, you can't let the media make your decision for you.
Exactly.
The media is just playing with different emotions. They're, doing their job is to not make an educated decision for you.
Right.
Yes.
So I like what you just said. You may be registered and you may be voting, had in your mind, I'm voting one way and I've been voting one way. But you get down there and you look at some things and you go, wait, that's okay. This is an opportunity, and this is so important, this election, that you need to take a step back. We all need to take a step back.
Right.
Kayleen, interrupt.
I was just thinking about this, because even
Take
if you
over.
don't know if you're registered in your area or not, you can still come and get registered again, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to be out there with party signs from one side or the other.
Sure,
There's not going to be any party signs.
Yeah.
This is, we're all Americans.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hopefully we all want the same thing.
Yeah. This event.
Stand up,
Yes.
America. That's what we're
Show
saying.
up.
This is
Yep.
event.
Stand
This
up and show
event
up.
is for promoting the cause of showing up for your country.
Yeah.
Register to vote. Let your voice be heard with your vote,
Right.
but let it be an educated vote.
That's beautiful. And I think the other thing people need to think about is be a part of your history. Be the part of an opportunity in our country to be one day, when people read about us in textbooks or when people learn what we did, they'll see that what we went through and what we did differently, than we stood up for our country and we looked at what was true and what was factual, and we made a difference. Be a part of that. Get out there, learn the facts, make an educated decision before you go and vote. That's all we're asking.
Amen. Amen to
Okay,
that.
we'll take a commercial and we'll have some champagne. We'll be right back.
Turn on your glam today. The Jenna Klein collection is here, elaborated with natural products. Give yourself a compliment with our organic lip glosses in more than 15 shades. With the Jenna Klein lip gloss collection, you can hydrate your lips and keep that glamorous look that you need. Turn on your glam. Visit jennaklein.com. And don't forget our skincare collection with natural ingredients that will improve the skin's appearance and prevent visible signs of aging. We have everything you need to achieve smooth and vitalized skin. jennaklein.com. Turn on your glam today.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi everyone, this is Chef Laurent. I'm the owner of Taste of Paris, a catering company for seniors. If you want to know more about our services, give us a call at 832-415-7374 or visit our webpage at laurentvalsculinary.com. Thank you.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Hi, I'm Isaac White, owner of the Isaac White Agency, a full-service property and casualty insurance agency located in Texas. Whether you need us to help you with your auto or your home insurance, your boat or your RV, we've got you covered. And our goal is to make sure you feel good about your insurance. Call us at 936-448-4000.
This was a proud sponsor of KNLY 91.1 FM.
Welcome back to Today with Cachet. We've got a show today. Have you registered to vote yet? Are you registered? If not, you better be there Sunday, this Sunday, ladies, right? From 11 to 5, Glade Arts Cultural Center. Yes. These wonderful ladies, Kayleen, you're going to probably pop in there too. We'll be out there helping and along with others to kind of really, as we were saying before commercial, let all of the little facts out. Let's have a talk. Let's see that we can all come together, get you registered, learn a little bit more before you make that vote and that decision on November 3rd. Come out, get some free barbecue, and meet your community.
It's a family event, right?
It is a family event.
Yeah. There's going to be painting for the kids and all that. Yes. So, you know, we're talking today here about just, you know, both facts and personal experiences and things of that nature. But Robin, we wanted to kind of touch back on a couple of points, and then I know Tammy, you did too. But one of the points you wanted to cover and kind of go back on was about you were saying during commercial break.
Yeah. So earlier you had mentioned, you know, about when we were talking about how many, you know, how much freedom we have in the United States, and you know how devastating it could be to lose that, and you know. If you don't vote, you run the risk of empowering the government to exercise rights over the people that it normally wouldn't have. And that's why I keep going back to the Bill of Rights. Right. The Bill of Rights was delegates that said, you know, hey, you know, we want to have a limited government. We want to limit what the federal government has power over its citizens. And so that trickles down to the state.
Yep.
And it's really important because, you know, Argentina is a fine example. You know, the collapse of their economy, the collapse of being, you know, having freedoms that were taken away from them.
Sure.
That could easily happen to the United States.
Well, yeah. Think about when we were all kids and you used to watch the news, and I remember I would see like a robbery happen, or you know, and not Marvin Zindler, but he would be on. That was for something else. But you would be slime in the ice machine, okay, which was a crime in itself. But anyway, so you would see that and you'd be like, oh my God. And I remember my mom would go, oh my God, or then you would see as you know, time progressed, you would see a bomb in another country, and I'd go, wow. And I remember as a kid, I'd say, oh, that's not going to happen here.
Yeah, right.
I remember saying that as a kid, believing that God, I feel so sorry for those people. But boy, I know it's not going to happen in my country. That is how I felt as a young kid.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Today, I can't say that.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen, and that's scary.
Well, right.
There we go.
And you know, and as far as you know, when people think about what happened in Argentina and whatnot, I mean, there are countries that are built like. You know, for example, I was just telling them earlier that, you know, my husband's from Norway. So, you know, they're a socialist country, you know. But one of the things and the reason why it works for that country is that there might be 1 million people that live there. There's like 6 million that live in Houston. So, you know, you know what I mean? Like, it works because there's not a lot of people. They have state-owned entities. You know, so we're never do that.
Yeah.
You know, so and then they have the oil that backs them, right? So it works for them. It's fine.
I need to hear about the machine gun story. Can you finish that one off for us?
Yes, but hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so it was really dumb, but but no. So the point is that it would never work here, and people need to understand that. Even if we started today, the U.S. economy wouldn't be ready to be a socialist country anyway for another 150 years.
Yeah. So there's a key word called sustainability.
Correct.
Okay.
That's right.
We are barely able to sustain our economy right now during this crisis of COVID. Okay. Businesses are going. You know, restaurants in Houston that have been around for 30, 40 years are shutting down. People are, you know, unemployed. They're struggling. People are scared. So if you take this, now let's just revert back to when SARS came, okay? SARS was a new novel virus, but we did not react the same way.
Correct.
So, you know, there's a lot of things that have changed, you know, in the last 8 years. but more to the point is that, we have got to, as a country, unite and vote and use our voice, not argue with our neighbors, not argue on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, but, get out and vote for your country. Vote for the opportunity to keep our country with a limited government. Socialism, I promise you, does not work. For a country this size, we're still struggling with, in Houston alone, we're still struggling to feed so many people.
Well, look at us being.
I mean, technically, we're still struggling from Harvey.
Absolutely.
And to your
How many years
point,
ago?
think about what you did, cupcakes and bubbles.
Yes.
Could you have done that in a socialist country?
No.
No, probably not.
Okay, I mean, and you know what I mean? Look how we enjoy that.
Yeah,
and it's
I
like, oh my God,
loved-
we're going there. We're going to go
Yeah.
get cupcakes with the
Yes.
kids.
Yeah.
We're going to have the little events there. I have my event business.
Yeah.
I
was
dare
having
somebody try to
executives
stop
in the
me.
oil and gas industry, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, but so when we talk about limiting government, exercising our knowing and understanding our Bill of Rights to make sure that the federal government doesn't overstep its powers over the people.
Yeah.
And the only way we'll continue to have that is if people get out and vote.
Right.
And I'm not here to convince you to vote for one candidate or the other. That is none of my business.
Right.
But I am here to tell people that your vote is the most powerful voice you can use. It shapes our country, and it will continue to shape our country for years to come. It shapes it not only for us, but for our children and our grandchildren. I've got 2 adult children, and I've got an 11-year-old granddaughter. What is the world going to be like for her? It's the sustainability of, opportunities for Americans, and legal immigrants that come over for the opportunities and freedoms that they don't have in their countries. That's imperative that
That's what we're trying to hold on to, right?
We're trying to hold on to, and you hold on to that by casting a vote. But it must be an educated one, because if you don't know your candidates and you don't know where they stand on policies, and more importantly, if you don't understand what the policies do and how the domino effect.
I think that's the
Okay.
key point. Go ahead, Tam.
Well, you're saying that, and I don't know if there's going to be time. I know that Elizabeth is listening, and she's going to be the one that would probably be able to put it together quickly. Do we know all of the people that are going to be on our ballot that we're going to be able to vote for? Just like I was talking about listening to the radio this morning, the speaker was talking to one of the candidates for your school district that's going to be on the board that makes policies for the entire state of Texas.
Wow.
And the other candidate that was not there, he said, and this is his words, was that she wanted to take out Texas history. Like, don't even teach it.
No.
So I wouldn't have known that. Is that true? I'm hoping maybe we can have a list of all the candidates that we'll be able to hand out to people, possibly, where they can go home and look up,
do their homework and understand. Yeah.
Joe Miller and whoever.
But realistically, and I'm a realist. I am on the legal side during my career. I'm retired now, but I still think, with the legal mind, is that realistically, people are too busy. They're too busy to really stop and look at every single candidate, how they voted, what they voted on. You can go online and look and see how many votes your candidates have missed.
Right, sure.
Which is important, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Did they show up to vote? Because showing up to vote means that they are working hard for the people. And when they don't show up, if it's not due to a family emergency or a health crisis, then you have to wonder, why did they miss that vote?
Sure.
Because they are working for the people, which is you and I, and
our
taxes.
Yeah.
So it's really critical that we just help people understand. Look, here's a short synopsis of what is
at stake.
What's at stake?
What's at stake?
And we're going to help you weed out all the noise and just show it to you in black and white.
And we're going to have some fun.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, come on out. So real quick, we've got about a minute. Tammy, tell everybody where they need to be Sunday at 11 o'clock.
Sunday, September the 20th, you're going to be at the Glades Arts Center, and it's at 2000 Woodlands Parkway here in the Woodlands. We're gonna be there early, setting up, and we will start serving at around 11, and we will be there until 5. Unless you show up later and still need us to register you, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'll be there until someone still needs us.
All right, all right. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Y'all have to come back, of course. We have to keep this going. We have a list of topics.
Who said I was leaving? I was just.
I mean, come back on air. We're going to turn off and have a party. Yeah, but anyway, thank you. No, because so important, everyone. So important. Please come out if you can find the time in your schedule. If you can't, please go ahead and get yourself educated on which way is very important for the direction of our country.
From what I heard, there's absolutely nothing else going on Sunday.
Oh, well then.
Except for us.
Yeah.
We're
Whoa.
it. Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Kayleen,
Yes.
anything else? Or are we signing off? We'll see everyone. Have a great one.